So this is a few topics. Why not? Notice Tommy got arrested and released. Is it just to be difficult to him? Is it to try and keep him there as long as possible so that when this protest event demonstration, sorry about that, see if I can kill the light, demonstration or whatever you want to call it, goes ahead, that he won't be there? Is it just an inconvenience? At the end of the day, we work with other countries. We scratch their backs, they scratch ours. Or has he just committed some minor offence over there, but he hasn't been charged with it? I don't know. But anyway, he's out at the moment. So now moving on. I looked at my Twitter, which I don't do so much these days because it's nothing but bad news. And I went through and I went, people beating up white people, stabbings, trans people, like, or you know, fucking reading the kids or looking like demonic creatures, rioting, people being captured and all the rest of it. And I just thought, these are all different countries, so this could be a bit all over Europe, England, America, Canada, and it's all going on simultaneously at the same time. And I was thinking, do you know, this reminds me of back in the 80s when you looked at the footage that was coming out of the Middle East, where one faction was fighting against the other, and it was a war between two fought on the streets. And I thought to myself, doesn't half look like that? And then it sort of dawned on me, well, what we've done is we've invited that same bunch of people who are part of a death cult war machine into our country, and now that's why our country looks the same as theirs did in the 80s. Well, to an extent, because obviously they're not hanging around every corner at the moment with weapons, as they were in the 80s. You'd see them, they just step out from the side of a building and launch an RPG down the road. Go on, son. Or they'd just be firing randomly down the road and stuff like that. And that's something I remember as a kid. Love me as Sonny. But I've realised that we're in kind of the end times now. And because, I've said it again, because we lost our way, we thought about we were educated to just think for ourselves and nobody else, to not stand together as one, to don't go up against the machine because you're all right, Jeff, don't worry. And I'm going to say it again, and none of you are going to like this, because we lost our religion. Because our religion, if we'd have been as staunch in our religion as they are in theirs, we'd have fought back. But there we are. We let the corrupt and the evil lure us away from our beliefs and our traditions. And now, as I get out and fill this truck up, I go into the place to pay, and there's this big, I don't know what he is, dark, not very dark skin, but a lot darker skin than me, just looking at me like this. And it's like, who the fuck are you, mate? And it's like they're looking at you as if you're the problem now, this is their country, which it isn't, and it never fucking will be. And I saw a meme, and it had a picture of, it was a cartoon, and it had Big Ben in the background, and it had like a Scots Guard, you know, with a big fucking hat on, right? And then it's got, that's then, and now they've turned the hat upside down so it's just a huge beard, and they've removed Big Ben and just put a crescent in its place. And I thought, how fitting. But we're fucked. That's the end of it. It really is. I mean, to come back now, the only way you come back now ain't going to be through voting or anything else. It's going to be another way, and I can't talk about that on here, and it's obvious why, alright? But there's no way of voting yourself out of this thing now, because there is no political party that will ever come along and enact the brutal and savage laws that would need to come into place to put right what's been done. And even then, there's some things that you can't do. I'm one of these people that, if you're a good egg, right, if you're all right, if you love this country, then why would I want to kick you out? And there are many people from, obviously, the Sikh community, Greek, Chinese, Italian, Indian and Bangladesh community that are just, they came here to get away from it. They didn't want it. Now, am I going to go after them and say you've got to go because Because you're the wrong colour? No, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. But obviously, people would have called me a civnat. I'm no civnat, no FNAT, right? It's just something you cannot do, all right? And I'm going to lose some fucking subscribers from this, and that doesn't bother me in the slightest anyway. This channel was never about appeasing people. It was about what I feel, what I think, and you tell me whether you believe in it or not. But I can't help but see all this shit, and everybody was going, oh, this Andrew Bridgen, he's a great guy. Well, I've seen stuff mentioned about him saying about we need Europe to take over our political system, and Europe may well be our saviour. Really, I did wonder why he'd been coming out and being anti-vax and not getting banned. It did bother me, yeah. And there he is in reform, along with the other fucking globalist fucking idiot, Farage. So people are saying to me, well, you're not coming out with any options. Here's the thing. You vote for reform, what you're going to get is lied to for a load of time, right? And then they'll let you down, and you know exactly where you are, right? Labour, if they get in and fuck everything up really hard, might actually wake people up. Conservative and Labour are two cheeks of the same arse. Just one's more obvious than the other, all right? Liberal Democrats are literally get back into Europe, do the thing, right? So they ain't going to give us anything. Any other party apart from that, I mean the Green Party, fuck me, they're gaining traction because there are blithering idiots out there that are that indoctrinated into this bullshit green agenda. It's a cult, and they love the cult. They may not even believe totally in what the thing is, but they like the fact that they're a big group because they're completely cowardly on their own, right? So this is why I'm saying that they're saying, oh, well, you're not giving us anybody else to vote for. It's gone beyond voting now, all right? And many of you won't like that, but if voting made a difference, you wouldn't be giving it. Remember over in America, where everybody voted for Trump, but they give you Biden anyway, all right? Do you not think they've got similar things over here to make sure that the status quo carries on and the job gets done? And the job that needs to be done, as far as they can see it, is the Islamification of Europe, okay, and the fall of the West. And it's going to happen. Unless people wake up because things get so bad so quick, and then everybody comes out in the street and it's like a massive switch, and then people get, well, use your imagination, all right? This has happened before, and it will happen again. And then maybe at some point, somebody might come out from the woodwork that's actually legit, that isn't sponsored by, I don't know, globalism, the Middle East Forum, or whoever, right? Somebody that's actually worked in his life and struggled in his life. And I say he, not she, right? Somebody who's quite a hard cunt in their own right. Somebody who knows what it is to sacrifice. Somebody who knows what it's like to go without. And somebody who says exactly what he does on the tin. Well, when that person does come out, and we all follow him, okay, and something comes from that, then we might actually stand a chance. But you'll be going up against the army, the police, the government, all right, the state, the everything. But I've looked at it long and hard over the last X amount of years. And a wise man said before, if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it. And I sort of, when I was younger, looked at that and went, no, that's not right. But it is. It truly is. We have, in this country, a veil of democracy where a load of people tell you that they're going to do whatever it is they think you want them to do. And then you vote for them, right? Once they're in, they default back to their original plan, which was to serve the people who lobby them, who pay them, who will make sure that once they're out of politics, they will be in a cushy little job and set up for life. These type of people that are attracted to politics in the first place aren't normally, I say not always, but not normally, right? are people who serve themselves, people who are egotistical, narcissistic, greedy sociopaths, people that want people to adore them or look up to them. They want power. You know, these are people that are usually flawed in their character. This is why they go for things like this, and they also go for these positions of power so that maybe they can get away with things behind the scenes and people will protect them. They join the club. They become part of a lodge or something else similar to that, where everybody scratches everybody's back and everybody looks after everybody else. And these people, they go on to do well because they'll also look after other wankers. So it needs somebody who's never been through that process of corruption, all right, but has actually seen some hard times. Somebody who's maybe ex-military, who was a good egg, but they left the military because they could see the way the direction of the military was going and just didn't agree with it. You know, somebody like that maybe. Somebody that's not totally flawed. They had it, by the way, and they're not going to like this. They had somebody in Germany a while back who, on the outset, wanted to change the corruption within his country. He wanted to change, get rid of the porn industry, get rid of the 1% taking all the cream and everybody else getting fuck all. Now, in time, did this bloke lose his shit? Did he go mad? Was he sent over the edge? I don't know. Did he do terrible things? Yes, he did. And that's always the problem. That if you get, say for instance, a dictator come up who starts to do some sweeping changes and it all seems good. And the only reason you'd ever vote for a dictator, by the way, is that things have got so bad in your country. It's kind of a cycle, and it's happened before and it'll happen again. But you vote for this man because he comes out and tells you everything you want to hear. So, what you have to make sure is whoever you get in, or whoever you look up to and think that's a good person, isn't entirely character flawed. And how are you going to know? So this is a precarious position we're in. But the one thing I can assure you is that any political party that looks to start actually enacting any change will get fucked out of it through some way or another. All right? So it's a democracy thing, I'm afraid. Over here is an illusion because it doesn't matter which one you go for, you get the same result. And that's not democracy. The idea of democracy is one party stands for one thing, one party stands for the other, you decide which one you like, and you vote for them, and they carry on doing the thing they said they'd do. We don't have that, and we haven't had that since fucking all my life anyway. I mean, as far as I've been alive, we've had Labour governments, we've had Conservative governments, okay? And all they've ever done is carry on the bullshit. When Margaret Thatcher came into power, one of the wets, as she called them, because she reckoned they was wet as a blanket, one of the wets, she started coming out with these ideas of what she wanted to achieve, and he went, hang on, Margaret, hang on, my dear. That's not what we're about. Our job is to wind up Britain's affairs. Think about that. Wind up Britain's affairs. It was decided after the Second World War that an empire cost too much, and in the old days, to prove how wealthy you were was the size of your empire, okay? But what they actually realised is there was more money in banking and financial type of stuff, fiddling shit, you know, bit of corrupt cunt. So they made the capital of the banking system, as it was, as I'm aware, in the centre of London. You know, that 1 mile part of London that the Queen has to ask to go into. So they decided that they would slowly give back all of this territory that our forefathers had fought and died for because they didn't need it anymore, in their view, right? And also it was somebody else's opinion outside of the UK that our empire was to diminish. Put it on break. And that's what happened. Now, empires start, they get bigger, they go through all these different processes. I think it's 8 processes, and then in the end because they've had too many people try to suck the fat for the land, and too many people get greedy, and there's too much corruption, that the empire failed. This is where we are right now, right? If our banking hadn't gone so greedy, if our globalists hadn't gone so power hungry and greedy, if they'd have let everybody have a fair bite of the apple, that's all, then they wouldn't be in the same situation that they are now, that they hadn't fucked the economy so hard that they now find themselves in a situation where they have to handle the collapse of that economy so that they're the ones that put the next empire, the next situation, the next thing in place. Now, I was thinking to myself, how would you collapse the economy of Europe? Because obviously we're on an interest thing where they keep having to inject money into the system, which devalues your pound or whatever currency you have. And at some point it has to fail. I'm not going to go into great detail, but basically the economy has to fail. So I was thinking, how would you make it fail? Well, it's simple, isn't it? You invite millions and millions of people from a death cult that hate our country and hate us to come in and slowly go to war with us. At which point, any country in civil war, usually its economy is totally fucked as far as I can understand. And that's the way they're going to do it. And the people that you elect, the people who are in any position to garner any power, right? Don't forget, there's first past the post and the other one, which I forget. And they've enacted one to make sure that the two-party system always remains. I heard it said that if it had been the other way around, and they said this on GB News, right? If it had been the other way around and it was proportional representation, that, well, some of those right-wing parties might get in, and we can't have that. What do you mean you can't have that? You know, it's the will of the people. But they don't like that. What they want is the status quo to carry on. Now, somebody also said to me that, is democracy good? And I actually said, well, yeah, of course it is. He said, well, no, it's not. It's nothing more than bully boy tactics. I'm like, how does that work? He says, the will of the mass overrule the will of the few. Well, I suppose that's true, isn't it? If there's not enough of you vote for something, then you just have to suffer because the others get what they want. How would you rule a country? How would you do it? With a dictator, whatever he says goes, and that's it. And you either like it, you don't like it, and it doesn't matter whether you do or you don't. So politics is always going to be flawed. But politics would be flawed a lot less if the people within the politics were actually straight and honest, but they're not. And this is the problem we find ourselves. They're very good at promoting themselves. They're very good at telling you what you want to hear. But when you break it down, and this is another thing with age, you see it happen so many times, and you see how it started to go, how it carried on, and how it ended. And this is why when everybody's banging on about reform, in the same way that we all went crazy for UKIP, all right? It is nothing but the same thing. And I'm sorry about this, people. I know you don't want to hear this, all right? And there are many of you that will be hoodwinked, but I want you to remember my words, all right? That Nigel Farage is a person that says one thing and then capitulates and does another. Somebody else I know called him political contraception. Either way, he is not a man to be trusted, all right? And people were saying that Andrew Bridgen's a good man. I truly believe that he's not a man to be trusted. Now, I know I sound pessimistic, but what it is, I don't want you to get your hopes up investing it in some people or persons or group that will just purely fuck you over at the last moment. I can't, morally, I've got to warn you, right, that these people are going to shit on you. You've only got to look at some of their candidates, all right? Now, I'm going to get slated for this, fine. But you that slate me, when you find out that I was right, come back and admit it. That's all I ask. And if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up. But you know that, all right? But I ain't going to be wrong on this one. Anyway, that's enough for me. I've got to do some paperwork and stuff. and then get on with my day. Stay cool, because it's going to be a warm one, and I'll see you in a bit.